Well, hello there, gang. Are you ready for some culture crow time? Or perhaps the smoking hat time? We might have to change our name after this. Hey, you guys! Speaking of which,
I'll be back.
we are talking about
Would you like
the
to play
most
a game?
iconic movies of the 1980s.
Absolutely.
Well,
Get
Were
away
you
from
there?
her,
Yes,
you
we
bitch.
were. What is iconic?
okay, so Stu, you might know.
That looks like
who
glory
this-
holes of the 80s.
You know what? I'll take it.
Oh.
Oh, okay, wait. This is me where I tell a story. Are you ready for this? I may have told this before, Jeff.
Okay.
Forgive me, but I'm going to tell it to Stu.
Hey, with my memory, you never know.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm going to say, 2009, I flew back, because my sister lives in California, San Francisco, and I flew out to meet her, and she worked at that time, close to the Transamerica Pyramid, which is really close to the Broadway area of San Francisco, which is where all the topless bars and porno type places are. And I remember walking into a place one time because I was supposed to meet here for dinner or something. I walked into this one place because I was just I've got some time to kill. And I kind of knew what I was walking into, but I didn't, because I'd never ever really gone to a place like that. And so I walked in, I'm like, oh, this is one of those places that shows movies for a quarter or whatever it was. You put in the slot.
Theater.
And then I'm looking around. I'm looking around because it's more like morbid curiosity at this point. And then I'm looking around and I look over to my side, and there's an eyeball staring at me. I'm like, it's a glory hole. It was my first glory hole experience in my life. So after I saw that, I was like,
more than one.
Say what?
That makes it sound like there was more than one.
Oh. No, I guess there really isn't. That was my one and only, other than seeing them in rest area bathroom stalls and be like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. Anyway, we did it all for the glory of the 80s. Stu, do you know who this musician is, perhaps?
I recognize her face.
Okay. Lead singer of Chicago.
Nice.
Went solo for a few albums in the 1980s and provides the track "We Did It All for the Glory of Love"
Nice.
for the 1986 hit Karate Kid Part 2.
Sweet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Good film.
I'm trying to bring it up in my head, but it's
Karate Kid Part 2, Jeff? Really?
I'm trying to bring up the music.
Oh, it plays like they do a cinematic score version throughout parts of the movie, but the actual song with the words I think plays at the end. One of those.
I almost have it in my head.
Well.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Oh my God. Anyway, gentlemen, so we were discussing which way to go about talking about some 1980s movies. And
inspiration.
Okay, that's Chicago, but different song. But I'll take it.
Isn't that the one that was in Karate Kid Part 2?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but correct voice, wrong song.
Okay.
So, we had you, Stu, and I, Jeff, Stu, and I, we all had this conversation about should we go iconic? How should we do it this time? And it was difficult, but I'm actually prepared to tell you that once I put in all of our honorable mentions, I was actually really satisfied that we got everything that needs to be talked about.
Excellent.
Like really, I mean, there were some ones that you guys didn't mention. I'm like, okay, there's room on this slide. I'll put it in there. But this totally goes in there because, like, once we put these last couple pieces into the puzzle, we are like, these are the movies that have shaped civilization.
There was one I left out that was really hard.
Which one was that?
Golden Girls doesn't count.
Yeah, that's Charles Jeffrey.
Raiders. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
Oh, shh. Okay. Shh. So I was like, it influenced a lot of shitty copycats. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. Anyway, so I actually have included the dictionary.com definition of iconic as a person or thing that is revered or idolized. And then for our purposes, I'm throwing this in there as well because I think in order for a film, and we can parse this out or argue if you want, I think for a movie to truly be considered iconic, that there has to be some sort of cultural legacy.
Yes, I would agree.
Okay, so it's not just something that's revered or idolized. I think that there has to be measurable influence in how movies were made thereafter, and not just that, but how culture interacts with those same ideas. And so we will discuss as we go forward. Okay.
And as Alanis Morris said, isn't it iconic? Don't you think?
I learned
how to use a bullwhip.
Did you really?
I think we've heard the bullwhip story. I have.
I used to be able to turn my cassette player on and off with my bullwhip.
That's amazing. The fact that you had a cassette player, I mean.
And the fact that his parents let him run around with a bullwhip, right?
Yeah, totally. But I've now got one. I say I've got one. Richard's got one because he used to have horses. Well, he had a horse. His mother had a horse. Yeah. So there's And so I've taken it in the back garden and managed to get a good crack now and then.
Ooh. Jeffrey, do you still have a bullwhip around?
No. It was a chintzy, cheap one. So I think like somebody started playing tug of war at one of my birthdays with my bullwhip and it broke.
Bastards.
Oh, so what you're saying is we have to go visit Stu so you can play with his bullwhip.
Yeah. Oh, but you've got the hat. Yeah. You've got the hat, though, James.
That's true.
So if I bring the whip to you, and then Jeff comes around, we could all play Indiana Jones together.
Let's go play Indiana Jones.
Thinking about getting a fedora.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, can I be Data? Or what was his? What was he called? In
Short Round.
Yeah, Short Round. I'll be Short Round.
Okay. Wait, what's it? Jeff? Does that make you Sala?
Probably, yeah.
Awesome.
Which also means I'm Gimli, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Okay.
But can I hear you? I want to hear your bullwhip sound. Can you make a bullwhip sound?
Okay.
You James? Good.
No. Well, guys, we have already come to we're doing top 3, and we're going to do some honorable mentions to round everything out. Like I said, I think we have a fairly complete list. And we even throw a few food for thoughts in there. So, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Aliens. Not even the first of the series.
Well, because the first one is 79.
Is iconic. So
the first one is 79. So.
Give us an explanation, sir.
Well, like I said, first one is 79, so it doesn't work for the 80s.
Right.
And in the first movie, she was a survivor, kind of a victim survivor type thing.
Okay.
In the second one, she takes charge. So
see, I hoped you were going in that direction.
So it was hard science fiction, harder than a lot of what we've seen by that point with Star Wars and Star Trek.
The 70s was actually a pretty fertile time for, like, I should say late 60s and the 70s were a fertile time for that hard sci-fi kind of thing. I mean, 1968, 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, that one.
Then you have some other ones in the 70s, like Silent Running, was it Saturn III, which are, you know, weird ass movies.
But at this point, stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek, you know, with hyperdrive,
that had definitely taken
warp
over.
drive had taken over, and this one, you know, we're going to freeze people and put them to sleep again.
It was
and then have their guts ripped out by aliens.
And there were no phasers, there were no lasers. It was all bombs and bullets still.
And no ridiculous CGI.
Oh, and Geiger's disturbing artwork brought to life, right?
Yeah.
I would say that Aliens is more disturbing in its visual representations of the xenomorphs than the first film, right? I mean, am I wrong? I don't know.
Well,
I just watched this one not that long ago. I watched Alien probably around Christmas time. So, like, they're pretty fresh in my memory, but of course this one's more fresh. But you have the part like that's on the screen right now where she's going through that like cavern or whatever, and it's just creepy as all hell, man. And
one of the things I found quite creepy, I've always found quite creepy, is the corporate greed superseding the safety of civilians in the military.
What? It's Paul Reiser's character, right?
Well, no, but even in the beginning when she's talking to the council, that boardroom type meeting she has in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Well, that too.
And
then Paul Reiser's character, he's just looking out for the company.
Yeah, he was
he tries to kill her at some point by sealing her in, her and the child.
To be impregnated by facehuggers, so he can sneak them back inside them.
Yeah.
So it really does a good job of illustrating just how greedy corporations can get. You know.
Wait. Corporations are greedy?
A little bit. Yep.
Weird.
They have an obligation to be so.
Are they? Is it owned by Tesco? or like Tesco gets swallowed up by Wayland Industries?
Wayland-Yutani. Yeah, Wayland-Yutani.
Stu, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It has terraforming, which is
it does.
Cool. I don't know if that was my first time I've heard of terraforming, but it's possible. I was pretty young.
Yeah, I think that's probably the first time I heard it. The idea of making a foreign, a planet, an extrasolar planet habitable, or even I guess like Mars, we could make habitable by, injecting oxygen and things like that into their atmosphere, and then like planting things that can withstand up the oxygen levels and things like that.
Well, there you go. I've learned something new today.
Yeah.
And last but not least, the first mainstream female action lead.
Yeah, that's the big one right there. Let me ask.
There was some like Pam Grier.
Have you not read the Bible? What about Mary?
Action lead.
Come on.
Hey, Jesus coming out of that is very suspenseful because, like, the manger and stuff.
Yeah, the manger scene, that's bloody gruesome, that is.
Yes.
And she literally got fucked by God.
It's an immaculate conception, Stu.
Twas the word. Twas the word.
Actually, I think that refers to something else, but whatever. No, what I was going to ask Stu is what is your relationship with this movie?
It's very minimal. I think
really?
I've seen it once.
Why is that?
Horror is not horror slash. I like sci-fi, but when things are a little bit horrific, I go okay, and I generally don't revisit it. So, but I'll enjoy the experience. But I think I've been on that ride. I don't need to go on it again.
Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense because when Jeff was explaining all that, I'm like, I don't know if Stu's seen this or if it's been a long time or whatever. All right, Jeffrey, back to you talking about how Ripley, she becomes the first. I mean, okay, Pam, you're right, Stu. You're right to bring that up. Was that you?
That was me, Pam. That was me.
Okay. So Jeff
that was
Pam
like
Grier.
What they call blaxploitation films. And so it wasn't really mainstream.
So So yeah, like so if she's the I guess the prototype of like the female action hero, I guess Ripley is sort of like the realization of the female action hero, because in the sequels, of course, it's all Ripley all the time kicking ass.
Oh yeah. And I just want to say a little story from my first experience watching Aliens. I had never seen Alien.
Yeah, I watched this one first.
It was just something on that was on. I was over at my Aunt Shirley's house, and they had cable, so I was watching HBO or something. And so I started watching from the point where they were going in to rescue the colonists. You know, they found the trackers. I had no idea that this was going to be aliens. I was like, oh, army guys, Marines. They're gonna
Space.
They're gonna go war, have some war, and shoot them up. And then all of a sudden, they're coming out of the goddamn walls. Let's book. I'm like, oh, this is something different, man. Whoa.
So
I was hooked.
Your little mind.
I was hooked. So then I had to go watch. Had to go rent Alien and Aliens and watch them back to back.
So you were allowed to watch Aliens when you were a child?
Jeff was allowed to watch all sorts of things as a child. I mean, to an extent, so was I, to an extent. But, like, I remember you watching, like, zombie movies and shit. Like, I would not have been allowed to watch that.
I wasn't allowed to watch Highlander until I was 18.
Oh, goddamn, seriously?
Yeah. I watched Conan. I watched Conan when it came out.
Okay, I watched Conan. I mean, nobody cares about tits, but...
Oh, there were, like, beheadings and people getting their guts cut open and human stew.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
You can relate to that.
Yep. Okay, I get it.
An orgy pit.
What, Jeffrey?
An orgy
pit.
Orgy pit, yeah. With a chick chained to a pillar.
Do you think Bukkake ruined the orgy pit's carpet?
There's more pillows.
Sorry.
There's more pillows.
Okay, you know.
They ruined the pillows.
Gross soppy pillows.
Ooh. Oh, come on now.
Wait, see what you did there. Well, actually, no, I didn't see what you did there, but...
Nice. Okay, well,
different types of pillows, huh?
Shall we progress to the next number 3? Boom! It's me.
Good choice. Well done.
Not only am I, like, deeply obsessed with this film, which I think I've pretty clearly demonstrated. I mean...
Yes, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
I can see.
So
you can see his penis.
That's a cod piece.
It's more of a cod piece. I think he's got that stuffed.
Yes. Yes. Don't just
David's got twig and berries.
Henry VIII's cod piece weighed 10 pounds.
Really?
Yeah.
So he had like the John Holmes of cod pieces.
Who's John Holmes?
Jeff,
really?
I'll let you take that one.
He was a very famous early pornographic actor.
Well, how many inches was it?
Shit, I don't know.
It was like 16 inches, something ridiculous. Yeah.
Did he like faint when he got an erection?
Probably.
Some of the girls did. I gotta do what? I got that.
Have you ever watched one? I've only ever watched, and it was only
like
for
one.
A few minutes because, you know, I was curious, like, really? Yeah, I watched one with him in it for a few minutes, and he was certainly a grower and not a shower, which makes it that much more impressive of a feat that he would get
stand back
15 inches out of that. Like,
you're gonna put somebody's eye out with that.
Yeah.
Then Ron Jeremy took over.
They probably hired him to like hang laundry.
I don't know who Ron Jeremy is. He's got a tiny dick.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it? Okay, no. That one I don't know. It would actually gross me out a little too much to see him.
Otherwise known as the hedgehog.
But he had the interesting thing about it, I don't know how we got into this, but anyway, that was because of the cod.
Jeff.
Yeah. But he became really popular because he was like the everyday guy. So the guys would buy the videos because they could relate to the Ron Jeremy character.
So he's like the Spider-Man of porn.
If he can get those girls, then perhaps I can. Somewhere subconsciously.
Like, he had a huge hog, so
Got you.
huge hog.
A motorbike.
No, we have lots. You guys have a lot of names for penises, and so do we. Just sometimes they're
Ron
different.
Jeremy's not got a big cock at all.
Wow. Congratulations, Stu, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much.
This actually reminds me of that very day in San Francisco. I shit you not. Like, now that you're talking about it, I'm like realizing like I'm going through those memories. Ron Jeremy, I think actually, like, not even I think, I know, actually had an in-store appearance at one of the novelty sex toy shops that day that I was in San Francisco. So it's the Matrix that we're talking about this, and it's all because of David Bowie's codpiece.
Yeah, David's got that effect on the world.
Yes, yes, he does. Ripple effect. Anyway, so I put
Moving away from the
I
codpiece.
probably would put this. Okay, of the movies on my list, this would be my number one favorite. But in terms of cultural influence, it's not quite as influential as some of the other ones that we're going to talk about. And but I would say that this one is fairly relevant. I know a lot of younger people who still love to watch this movie. People say, if you say Magic Dance, people will sing along. That it's just one of those enduring cultural legacies. And of course, I think for me, this movie was my jumping on point to David Bowie's music. So like you have that aspect as well, where you would draw people into that sort of music. And therefore I put him as my number 3. Of course, it's a Jim Henson film. So that you have that aspect as well. What do you think, gentlemen? Labyrinth?
Absolutely. No, it's just it is one of those films that kind of says childhood to me, and also
yes,
it's just absolutely
it's
the whole thing.
Okay. My daughters, they went, and probably Jeff can attest to this. They would go through spells when they were especially really little, like 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, where they wanted to watch the same things over and over again. And so I think Labyrinth had the most enduring play in my house. Like we would watch that movie every day, or at least twice or 3 times a week for like a year and a half, 2 years. And here's the thing: I never got sick of it. Never. I loved watching that movie every time.
Absolutely. I was always confused by David Bowie's character.
What was that?
The Goblin King. I was confused.
What confused you about it? Is the fact that he's trying to get with a 15-year-old girl?
Well, that was just a bit wrong. But, but other than
not
that,
for a rock star.
We acknowledge that.
Not for a rock star.
It was
all the time back then.
Maybe Goblin Kings matured at a faster rate. And he's
maybe he was the Goblin King.
Yeah, I always figured that he was taken much like Toby was.
Yeah, I think I think that's kind of inferred, because he's like, oh, maybe I'll keep you. And
so he's like a Michael Jackson kind of character.
Did you know that Michael Jackson was originally considered for this part?
Oh, that's right.
David Bowie was choice number 2.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That would have been a disaster.
That would have been terrible.
It's got deep.
And I also don't think the soundtrack, there's no way it would have been as good. David Bowie, any song with words in this movie, he wrote. Like I think I mentioned in that one other podcast we talked about soundtracks, but like he wrote it all, and then Trevor Jones wrote like the score, but like the dude was obviously so talented to like tap in to what this movie's mythology was. At least that's how I took it. So yeah, like it just that's the other weird thing. It's like I don't like musicals. It's not something I seek out, but there are some that are just, they transcend the genre. And Labyrinth, it's like it's not one of those movies
I love musicals. I've never seen Labyrinth as a musical.
That's the thing. I don't really see Labyrinth as a musical either, because it transcends the genre, which in a way, it sort of proves my point that this cultural legacy is. I mean, you can still go to stores. You can still buy the pop figures. You see my pop? Yeah, you see my pop figures. You can still buy keychains and all sorts of things at like Barnes and Noble. There's a manga series that they sort of created a sequel. There's a rumor that they're supposed to be making a sequel to it. I hope to God they don't, but we'll see.
There's many T-shirts, which brings me on to a point of I don't want to millennial bash too early in the show, but
let's.
If you buy a T-shirt with Labyrinth or Joy Division or Nirvana and you've never listened to any of those albums or watched any of those films, it's just wrong. So I think when you go to the stores to buy said things, there should be a questionnaire to be filled in beforehand. Do you know who's the singer of this band?
Just take a short little quiz.
You're stealing our childhood.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Oh, one thing I'd like to bring up.
I'm not that much of a fascist, but anyway.
One thing I'd like to bring up with Michael Jackson playing the role is think of the speaking parts.
Yeah, that kind of voice. There was that one really Moonwalker movie he was in.
My voice.
And of course he speaks in his music videos.
I'm trying to think of one.
But wait, which one? The music videos? Like Thriller?
No.
Smooth Criminal?
From like a spoken line by the Goblin King.
The Goblin King.
Oh.
Jareth.
Well, there's all sorts of them. Like, you know.
Give me an iconic one.
Oh, geez. Let's see here. I'll make you the prince, and then he's talking to Hoggle, and he's like, and Hoggle's like, really? And then he's like, of the Slough of Despond. It's a funny exchange.
I'll make you the prince of the Slough of Despond.
See, it just doesn't work.
Wait. I just totally fudged my pieces of literature. Slough of Despond's from the 17th century English Puritan work, Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. It's the bog of eternal stench. I can't believe I fucked that up. But anyway,
bog of eternal stench.
Sir, apparently I just have Puritans on the mind. It's been that kind of week. Anyway, are we ready to go to Stu's number 3?
Yes.
Before I embarrass myself any further.
No, it's okay. You can embarrass yourself further.
Okay. Hey, Stu! What's this Lost Boys movie, man?
I was considering this one.
Stu was kind of vacillating between like 3 or 4. So I'm like, dude, totally do this one. We can talk about this one.
Fright Night came first.
Okay, but Stu, make an argument why Lost Boys is more culturally significant than other vampire movies, especially during the time.
Because this made being a vampire cool as fuck. Simple as. And everybody who didn't want to be Keith Sutherland obviously this guy is very hot.
I don't know about you, I want to be Bill S. Preston Esquire.
Sorry?
Bill S. Preston Esquire. There.
First come,
by the way, guys. Today, Bill and Ted Face the Music for streaming.
Really?
Just saying.
Come on.
I'm probably going to write that in the next couple of days.
Yes, well, what I'm probably going to do, because our cinemas have opened with social distancing, and my old best friend, you're James, you're Jeff, and Jeff, you're James. I've got a Tony, so he's my old friend from school. I've not seen for quite some time. He's not very well, but we've said because we went to see the other 2 Bill and Ted's, and we've not seen each other for a while, like in the cinemas all the way back then.
Yes,
because it was our thing. So we're going to go and see the 3rd one together. So that should be nice. That'll be fun. And maybe you should pick some 80s food from the time as well.
Oh, Stu brought that up. He Jeffrey.
What?
He's like, hey, what kind of sweets or munchies did you eat when you were watching movies back then?
Microwave popcorn a lot of times.
No. If you're at the movie theater.
Popcorn, of course. Popcorn, Reese's Pieces, Twizzlers. Butterfingers. I got a Butterfinger a lot.
We didn't have any of them back in the 80s.
Milk Duds.
We didn't have them.
Milk Duds. I know Stu and I were
like,
talking
are they
about
like
what those were.
Maltesers?
Say what? Oh,
I was
yeah.
like,
Well,
are
you
they
said
like
they were like
Maltesers?
Maltesers. I'm like, no, Stu, those are Whoppers, damn it.
I like Whoppers.
The Maltesers taste better, I'll tell you that.
We got a cherry Pepsi, and that was a big deal when we first got cherry Pepsi.
Yeah.
Cherry Coke. I usually got a cherry Coke when I went to the movies.
Oh.
So, although isn't popular now, it wasn't even that popular back then. But I was actually, when I was in the 80s, I was desperate to move to America. Obviously never happened.
Before you knew better.
Before, yeah, absolutely. But it was, like we were saying before, the 80s was the pinnacle. Then everything, and I thought it could only get better.
1986, baby.
But
although I guess Lost Boys came out in 87, so I might push it to 87.
Cool. I can live with that.
Okay.
So, anyway, coming back to Lost Boys, it was just epically good as vampire films go. There was no twinkling, and if they went into the sun, they would burn.
That's true.
Expected. And they were just cool. There's no Nosferatu stuff going on. There was this edge of, they were lost boys. There were people who, and I think anybody who felt like any sort of outsider could sort of identify with that, other than the fact that they weren't.
A lot of Peter Pan fans were probably kind of confused when they went to the movie.
Well, see, I was actually going to mention that it's part of my thesis, Jeffrey, is
Great minds think alike.
Well, indeed. So I'm going to take what Stu's saying a little further, and I would this is my thesis, is that Lost Boys is the greatest vampire film ever made.
Oh no, I think I'd agree. I mean, the Interview
probably.
with Vampire is good, but
every single piece of literature, and I've actually read some vampire stuff in the last few years. I'll tell you what those are in a second. But every movie, every show that I've heard, read, listened, whatever with vampires, Lost Boys is my measuring stick. Like, I remember, because obviously I saw this movie before I read Bram Stoker's Dracula. I read Bram Stoker's Dracula probably about 2002-ish. Yeah. And I remember reading that, and I compared Bram Stoker's Dracula to Lost Boys, which is that's how seriously I take this movie. But Lost Boys is true to the mythology established by Bram Stoker. That's first and foremost.
If you invite them in, you're powerless.
Yeah. There are a couple things that they tweaked, small things I think they tweaked from Bram Stoker, but for the most part, it's true to the mythology. And like Stu was referring to with the Twilight shit and all that, it is better because it upholds the mythos of it. And some of the vampire books I read one by Elizabeth Kostova probably a few months ago. Probably, I guess the whole quarantine thing, it's been longer than that. Maybe 8 or 10 months ago now. But it's called The Historian, where this woman is tracking Dracula through old documents and going to archives throughout Europe and trying to find some traces of her father, who was tracking Dracula before that.
What's it called again?
It was good. It was okay.
What's it called again? It's called
The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. And then, I read one called The Passage by Justin Cronin, which they made into a television series. I think it was on
CBS.
Actually,
is that the news?
It was on it was one of those USA, one of those cable networks, and it's called The Passage, and it starred Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell.
Yay!
Yeah,
Which one was
was he Zach?
Okay,
yeah, Zach.
Yeah.
Zach Morris, and
I got called Screech in school, by the way, back in the 80s.
Say what?
I was called Screech in school.
Ooh, no, you were Screech?
Yes.
I remember your porn name. Your porn name's Squeaky Queen. So
well remembered.
Nice.
That was hilarious. and I'm on my 4th time restarting editing that episode because something just keeps going wrong every time.
Oh, Oh, okay. Well, hey, it's coming soon. Let's see here. Read that, and the book
And
is
the soundtrack
very
amazing.
well.
We've already covered the soundtrack.
Yeah,
But the
yeah, the
it's true.
soundtrack's fucking great.
People
Cry
strange,
Little Sister is
stranger.
definitely one of those touchstones of the '80s. Anyway, so like even though the passage is really well written, it doesn't follow the mythology of it, and so I had a real hard time with this story because of that, and it sort of blends. It crosses genres because it's like a post-apocalyptic vampire story,
Interesting.
but also takes place a little bit in the modern day before things go apeshit. And it wasn't as good. And then, the other classic, I guess, and I'm kind of looking forward to if it's adapted properly, is Stephen King's Salem's Lot, which it's probably my
I
number
watched
one
the
favorite
movie,
Stephen King book.
the old movie. It was boring.
Garbage. Yeah, it was made in like
boring.
the late 70s. Like it was just.
I thought they'd already remade it.
Oh, I think they actually remade it again in the 90s with Rob Lowe. Like late 90s,
Yes.
early 2000s. Yeah, you're right.
It wasn't brilliant.
It just hasn't gotten the love that it deserves because, it follows the, like, that's the thing. When Stephen King, like I remember like reading something in the interviews with Stephen King, he wanted to be true to Bram Stoker's mythology. And so what makes Lost Boys so fucking successful and has not been really duplicated since is the vampires in Lost Boys were rock and roll. Like they represent rebellion and a rejection of society's values. So I'm bringing this back around to the Lost Boys. Maybe Peter Pan people would have been a little confused, but I think if I had watched this movie as an adult, like now, and question what was going on,
Those
like,
damn kids.
We should have been looking like. I guess we assumed that Kiefer Sutherland's character would be like the Peter Pan, but it turns out that it's the other character who's the real Peter Pan. And
Well, this is what if the Lost Boys join the pirates?
Well, I think when they go into the cave and there's a big picture of Jim Morrison in the cave, I think that's quite a good nod to who the Keith Sutherland character is. Quite, I think, a lot of his aspects of him, and so that's very rock and roll. And they're like, are they doing drugs, or has the wine been tampered with, or is it the blood of the vampire that's freaking his mind out? What is it that's doing it?
And yeah, you're right. And of course, I guess the obvious correlation is that, I mean,
You're eating
vampire, you never grow old. The Lost Boys never grow old. They see children forever. And to us looking at these people now, I mean, even Kiefer Sutherland, he was a baby back then. He was young.
Yeah.
He's
but if you could look like that forever, I mean,
yeah,
seriously.
right. It's the thing. We all probably would choose to look like that if there were something like.
I mean, even the way they dressed. I mean, I don't know who was not the set designer, the costume designer for that, but the way every single character who were the vampires, with the young people in the show anyway, they all are just so cool. Every single character is amazingly cool, and you could, except for some of the hair, you could probably get away with most of it now. I mean, there's that dude at the back there.
I mean, the mullet is still no go. So anybody with the Kiefer
Especially
Sutherland
not
definitely has
the permed mullet.
But
You're right.
Kiefer's mullet, it's not hugely, it's not very long
right.
mullet.
It's not as bad.
You can get away with that in Russia.
Yeah, probably.
They still rock the mullet.
Yeah, but you
all
can't
the
be gay
time.
there, so it's fine.
Oh yeah.
True.
I will argue though. I will argue that
Yes.
My Best Friend's a Vampire, or not My Best Friend's a Vampire. Fright Night helped make.
Isn't it My Best Friend's a Vampire?
No, Fright Night helped make this possible, and this made My Best Friend's a Vampire, and like Near Dark. You ever seen Near Dark, Stu?
No, I've not.
Isn't that Clive?
I think Blade is a good vampire film.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
Near
like
Dark.
Blade. I like the martial arts in Blade.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah,
should we
cultural
skip over
impact.
that? Should we skip over Lost Boys 2 and just not mention it?
I haven't even seen it.
There's a Lost Boys 2.
Yeah,
I'm aware of
exactly.
it. I'm like, nah, that's okay.
I know that there is. We're not talking about it.
Oh, we're not talking about it. No, there isn't. No,
No.
it does not exist.
Have you ever seen
I'm sorry.
Have you seen the original Fright Night?
Actually, I think I saw it in the middle of the night sometime last year.
Oh,
Now,
appropriate.
did that have David Tennant in it or?
No.
Oh,
Okay, because that's the newer one.
I actually like the newer one a lot. I actually probably like the newer one better than the old one.
I still have a soft spot for the old one though. Have you seen My Best Friend's a Vampire?
Yes, for a very long time.
Oh man, that's forever.
We
Yeah,
love
I love the original Buffy film. The TV series is great, but I love the original Buffy film. It's just so camp.
Oh yeah.
Now, Near Dark is one of those that you might, a little bit too, but it's really, really good.
I think Near Dark borrows a little too heavily from something like Lost Boys.
But it's also like a Western.
It is, but it's also just, I don't know. You can definitely try. You can definitely tell they're trying to cash in on Lost Boys.
It's one of the darker vampire films. It's quite dark and gritty.
Well,
there's Dusk Till Dawn as well.
That is a decent one. That is a decent one. It's not as good as this one, obviously, but that's not bad.
Yeah, but this one doesn't have Salma Hayek doing a little dance with a big boa constrictor.
Jeffrey, we have Jamie Gertz.
Yes, she is nice, but she needed that same outfit.
Oh, okay.
My best mate Tony was absolutely head over heels with Sky. He just
who was it, man?
Who wasn't? Yeah,
1987. Well, Jamie Gertz was my world. Her and Alyssa Milano. Yep. All right, I'm going to the next one, guys.
I thought it was B. Arthur.
The graphics, by the way.
B. Arthur was your world. I thought you had a crush on B. Arthur.
I always will love B. Arthur. Always. There will never be a time when I don't appreciate B.
This was also in consideration.
See, Stu and I started talking about it, and I claimed it because I actually didn't want any repeats on this one, so we'd have enough conversation here.
You didn't want any repeats on this one?
I didn't. Yeah, I didn't like.
Sorry.
We both put this one up as a top 3. I'm like, no, it's mine. And of course, he did that to a different one that we're going to talk about. Okay. I have recently been I've actually watched these probably 3 times in the last several months. The first, actually, I think I watched the whole trilogy 3 times probably since like Christmas. And I read an interview with Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. Robert Zemeckis is the guy that directed it. Bob Gale was the guy who wrote the script.
I met Robert Zemeckis.
Okay. We're going to come back to that in just a second. Excellent. But apparently, in this interview, they were addressing the fact that according to like film schools and so there's actually been scholarly work in journals put forth about cinema, the study of cinema, that Back to the Future is the most perfect film ever made.
Really?
It's pretty good.
There's compelling story. It's good. It's it's a fun movie. It has an excellent soundtrack and just top to bottom, and the whole story makes sense. And every once in a while, Bob Gale will hop on Twitter to address so-called plot holes, and he'll be like, "No, just look at blah 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 blah. There's no plot hole." And you're like, "Oh yeah, Bob Gale rocks, dude." So So Zemeckis, Robert,
so bloody clever.
Stu Simpson, you met Robert Zemeckis. Tell us about it.
I did. I was an extra in there's a film with Brad Pitt based in the war in the I can't remember what it was. As Ally or something like that.
What?
In the last couple of years, Allies.
Something about the Berlin Wall?
No, not that one. I don't think so.
Great Wall of China?
Hadrian's Wall?
No. I think it's called
Union?
Ally or something.
It's called what?
It was
Allies or Allied.
I'm looking it up. Robert Zemeckis.
Yeah.
I heard something about a Hadrian's Wall. You heard of that? Or Hadrian's Union.
Hadrian's Union.
Right.
You heard of that?
Actually, we're getting back together on Sunday for the first rehearsal in months and months and months.
That's good. I'm actually pretty excited about
your channel.
The new direction. But not the one direction.
I was giving you an opportunity to plug your channel.
Which one?
go ahead.
Shit! Yeah,
Do it.
It's called Do It.
HadrianUnion.co.uk. That's for the band, and StuSimpson.co.uk for myself. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube. That's the one. I lied. I thought this.
All right, Stu is in this film somewhere.
Well,
I've never even heard of this.
I was on set for 10 days, and they kept, because I was meant to be some sort of professor, but I've obviously got straight hair and was a bit longer at the time, so they kept curling it up because they wanted it to be shorter, and was like, well, just cut it. No, it's fine. It'll be fine. And they kept trying to make it shorter with curls, and then Robert Zemeckis kept coming on, and he'd pick me and then go, no, we need to put you further to the back because the hair's just not working, sort of thing.
Oh my god!
I'm like, well, cut my hair then. Just cut it. I don't mind. But I got to the day before the end of the shoot, and they just went, "We can't use you." It's just yeah. But so I was about 10 days on set, and so all the shots that I would have been in, they're like, your hair's too modern. So I'm like, well, you've got hairdressers here with scissors.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
Let them do their job.
Did you still get paid?
Of course. Yes.
Okay.
All's well
as long as there's that. But, man, that would have been cool. I was going to watch that movie, but now they can go fuck themselves.
And
agreed.
And a little word to the wise: Brad Pitt's not as good looking in real life.
I've actually heard that from multiple people.
It's
He's got
really weird.
Skin thing.
It's so strange. I mean, stick the camera on him, he looks incredible, but away from the camera, just a guy,
just a guy,
just a normal looking guy. So not a terrible looking guy, just not.
Is he like Tom Cruise and like surprisingly short?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. He was not like really really short, but just a normal guy.
Oh.
Unremarkable. I heard he had a small penis.
Oh my god!
You have something in common with him, Jeff.
So he has a big penis then.
I didn't mean that.
So he has a big penis then.
No.
Apparently, you like the bit.
You like what? Oh,
you like the bit. Apparently,
lots of
that's
people.
Okay.
Yes, of course. Well, I did for a long time, but I've not done it for years now.
He's talking about CBD.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yes.
CBD. Yes, of course. I did CBD for a while. Anyway, I'm taking away from Back to the Future.
Of course.
Let's get back to Back to the Future.
It's the movie that inspired 2 sequels, which were apparently they were planned pretty much from the get-go, and they filmed 2 and 3 back to back, which I think might have been the first time that had happened. They filmed the sequels like that.
They set up the second one at the beginning of the first one, and they set up the third one at the end of the second one.
Right.
I remember when I first heard that, it blew my mind. I'm like, what? They filmed 2 and 3 at the same time? That's incredible.
So, from a filmmaking standpoint, like that alone makes its legacy fairly significant. But the fact that like film students and screenwriting students are still studying this movie on how to make a fucking phenomenal movie.
It showed they had some confidence. Volumes. It showed they had some confidence though with the to be continued stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they had at that point Zemeckis had already made a name for himself. But yeah, I mean that was 1985 when Back to the Future, the first one came out.
The first 7-inch single I ever bought was from Back to the Future 3.
Can you
remember what it was?
ZZ Top.
Pop Quiz. Yes.
Circle Back Again or something like that.
Double Back Again.
Double Back Again.
Well
That's right.
Done.
Nice.
I like this ZZ Top.
Yeah. And they did the spinning guitars thing, and that always goes down well.
Anyway, but it's just such a good, like, it inspired this fascination with DeLoreans. Like, DeLoreans had pretty much disappeared from memory, and within a matter of like 2 years, comes back in this movie. Now, like, everybody wants a DeLorean. Like the fashion, like the whole the
Life
vest
preserver
thing that he was wearing.
Life
you didn't
preserver.
really see that a whole lot around, but then it was like all of a sudden everybody was wearing that.
I got a life preserver.
Well, damn right. No, that was the cool thing to do.
Did you jump ship?
Yep.
It might have been one of the films that made me want to play guitar, because it was one of the first times I was like, that's really cool.
There was kind of a
when he went to 11.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there was kind of a revival of the music from the 50s and stuff
And a metal plectrum.
around that time.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
there was
a.
a 50s revival, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, especially Chuck Berry.
Because we had a there wasn't really a group. There was a couple of guys who made music called Jive Bunny. I don't think it reached the States, but they picked
interested.
50s, 60s songs and remixed them all. But it was before mixing was a big thing. So that basically takes tiny little snippets from like 20, 30 seconds of something and then mix it into another song with an 80s underbeat. But if it wasn't for that sort of music and Back to the Future and all the rest of it, I wouldn't have had an interest in like old rock and roll. So it was that introduced me.
That's pretty much all we listened to back then.
Yeah.
Well, that and Ray Stevens.
And Weird Al.
And you did more Weird Al than I did, but Ray Stevens was definitely a staple.
I loved it. I must admit, I did like a bit of Tiffany.
Ooh,
Back in the day.
Yeah.
Man. Stu, I think I've already outed Jeff on this, but I'm going to out him again because he deserves it. Jeff doesn't really enjoy 80s music very much.
Damn.
That's actually not true. I enjoy a lot of 80s music. It's just not what most people think of 80s music.
Exactly. He likes like Metallica or Megadeth or whatever that came out in the 80s.
Metallica, Guns N' Roses. A lot of AC/DC stuff.
But when it comes to like top 40, top 100 hits of the 80s, like Toto's Africa, Jeff, opinion?
Nope.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
But I do like Tears for Fears.
Tears for Fears is great. They're definitely one of my faves from that era. Faux show. Love the outfield, too. God, I love the outfield. Anyway. Beyond that,
I don't know.
Huey. Wait, I will say this: I've never been a fan of Huey Lewis, who is in the movie and supplies the opening track that he.
I actually thought he was okay.
That song's iconic itself.
That song's great. Like I don't separate it from that movie, but like once you start doing, like, was it This Is It and all that shit? I'm like, shut up, Huey Lewis, go away.
I liked Want a New Drug. Want a new drug.
Really? I don't remember that one.
Weird Al did a parody of it. I Want a New Duck.
Oh, that's why.
I liked it first before he did.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite Weird Al song, though?
Oh, man.
Dare to Be Stupid.
That's a great song.
Only because it's in Transformers the movie, which I omitted from this list, by the way.
It was
like
hard
a surgeon.
For me. Like a Surgeon has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
It does. You did the lip sync.
I won the lip sync competition with Like a Surgeon.
Brilliant. I do like Smells Like Nirvana, but it's probably not my favorite.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to the next
Polka
one.
Your Eyes Out.
Oh my God. Boom. Stu, number 2, The Breakfast Club.
My brother and I watched this every day after school for probably 50, 60 days in a row.
Never.
That's awesome. This is another movie, Stu. If you hadn't picked this one, I would have picked this one as well. Yeah. So I was relieved that you claimed it first so I could make room for my other ones.
It sort of relates in the sense, I had to get a John Hughes film in. I had to get because
it's the one.
But have you
read Ready Player One?
What? Oh, I've not read the book, but I have seen the movie.
Oh, so really you haven't.
Yeah, so
is it that different?
Yeah, it's pretty different.
The book is so much better.
It is.
Oh, excellent!
It's enjoyable. It's a fun read.
Yeah, I enjoyed the film very much. So.
Well, then maybe you should read the book.
Have to read the book.
Maybe I shouldn't read the book then.
Oh, God.
It's a Spielberg movie, too. Well, okay, Stu, what other movie would be like the more quintessential John Hughes film?
Well, no, that was one of the reasons for this choosing.
Ferris Bueller?
No. It's always going to be Home Alone for me. It's always going to be Home Alone.
That was directed by Chris Columbus.
But it was written by John Hughes.
It was written by John Hughes. So, like,
I think for me, it's Ferris Bueller all the way.
Really?
Yeah, I love Ferris.
Oh, what's
Bueller.
the-
No, I love, like, you'll see Ferris Bueller's on the honorable mention, but
Ferris
no,
is
I
he's
think,
a bit of a tit.
But he was cool.
oh, shit.
He was cool.
You don't see
but
that.
he
You don't see
was-
that.
He was cool, but
have
he
no
wasn't
idea how
like
that
he wasn't a
sounds.
jock or a musician or he wasn't anything that made. He was kind of a nerd, and he was actually cool. So I kind of like that.
But
I
yeah,
get you.
I suppose that he did sort of appeal to the nerds in everybody. Not everybody.
There is a series that Josh Gad did where he would go back and talk to people from like he does one that with Lord of the Rings people that's like it's like quarantined together. I forget the name of it. If you go into
you started
YouTube.
watching one with you.
Oh yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings one, but he does want like a reunion with the Ferris Bueller people.
Oh,
and
cool.
that one's great too. There's
Speaking
lots
of
of like,
crush, I had a huge crush on Mia Sarah.
oh my god,
Gigantic.
yes.
And which one is she again?
Ferris Bueller's girlfriend.
Oh.
She's also
basically, if
in
you
the
were good
Legend.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Basically, if you were good looking and brunette back then, still actually.
Yeah,
Can you guess
Thank
what
you.
color
I appreciate
hair?
that.
Can you guess what color hair my wife has?
redhead. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the movie itself, guy.
Yes.
Well, Stu, I'm leaving this one to you since you picked it. So, what makes The Breakfast Club so damn iconic?
Molly Ringwald's head got cut off.
Or I actually meant to move our little screen here. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, this is how it happened.
What makes it iconic? For me, it's one of those films that you've got all the different types that you would get in a school, and then and things. I don't know if there's probably stuff before that came, but in the 80s, we all could relate to either one of the characters
Very
or
archetypal.
yeah, or at least a part
Yeah,
of something
it
from
was.
each of the characters. Yeah, or you'd relate more to a certain. You go, oh yeah, I'm the weirdo sitting in the corner making art and dandruff for snow and all that sort of stuff.
That
Which was
part
ridiculous.
still is disturbing.
Yeah, well, and the amount of she was a very interesting character though. But you know that one day she's going to end up in prison. It's one of them things. Well, he is as well, but they might end up together. But it always had all those questions going on, and it was just nothing much happens in the entire film.
No, it's what you call like a bottle film, right? Everything happens in a very limited setting. It's the library at this high school, although at one point they do sneak off to the gymnasium. But like, you got the beginning of the movie, them getting dropped off. You think they're in the library for most of the day. There's the one scene where they go to the gymnasium and then back, and like that's it. So even though there were bottle films going back decades,
supply closet where where the one character ends up.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's still attached to the library. And it's funny because you wouldn't think millennials, Generation Z would have even seen this movie, but not only have they seen this movie, they still love it. Even like you go to, I took my kids to a store. It's a chain store here. It's called Five Below. It's kind of like a dollar store, but it's $5.
$5 instead.
Well, $5 and below.
A $5 store.
And like they were selling Breakfast Club T-shirts. I actually wanted to go back to get one for my son for his birthday, and they were sold out within the matter of like a week. So it's still incredibly iconic. I mean, there's just no better word for it.
It's one of those movies that it's like, why is it good? I don't know. But it is.
I think the dialogue is rich.
Yeah.
The characters are, as Stu said, are incredibly relatable.
It's just the interconnections between them. I
can't believe
there isn't
I
really
missed one film. Sorry. Carry on.
You missed one?
I missed a very, very important one, and it's English.
Is it that one?
It's that one.
Okay. Well,
yeah, because you mentioned a really good script, and I can't think of a better script.
Because the setting isn't really compelling. The reason they're there isn't really compelling. It's just their interactions with each other. That's it.
Well, and that's the beauty of it. It's much more existential.
It's rare.
Than anything had come before that. I mean, you have noir films which are dark and brooding and contemplative that would happen in the 30s and 40s to some extent. But, you know, fast forward to the 1980s, we have teenagers somewhat, you know, struggling with that coming to, and that's the thing I'm writing an essay about right now, is how fascinated the 80s were with the coming of age movie. And this is a coming of age moment existentially. Like, they're not just like becoming adults during the course of this film. They're coming to terms with some sense of mortality, and that's really what separates children from adults. Is you're accepting what happens at the end is you know the terminal.
It's the end of their life. It's the end of their life as children.
Right, and I think that's what makes it so captivating. Is because on screen you're watching it happen in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and who didn't want to have fingerless gloves after that?
Well, not really my thing.
More from Han Solo.
Oh,
Fingerless, but they had the thing, and they were cut out in the back.
Oh, like the driver gloves.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. We did cut off Molly Ringwald, but still such a great shot. Okay, I'm going to the next one.
huzzah!
Stu, your number one film, most iconic.
You guys! Rocky Road.
Love,
Junkers. Oh, shit.
Steven Spielberg does present. That always confused me.
Hold on.
Because I was like, is it a Spielberg movie or is it not a Spielberg movie? It's not a Spielberg movie. He just presents it.
I accidentally misplaced the slide, so we went to Stu's number one before we got to Jeff's number two. But we'll do Stu's number one, then Jeff's number two anyway, since we already started.
It sounds wrong.
It just sounds good.
I'm just going to do a number two all over Jeff.
Cleveland.
I do not consent. I do not consent.
All right, Stu, explain to us why The Goonies is your number one most iconic film of the 1980s.
Well, because it's awesome.
It is.
It is awesome.
I completely agree with you.
Well, it just holds, I think, for not just me, but for many, many people, a very special place in my heart. And it just represents childhood and the sense of adventure and things getting taken away from you. And it's that coming of age thing. It's that
and the archetypal thing.
True.
Absolutely.
Same sort of
so everybody, there was always there's the geek, the inventor, the adventurous one, the one, etc. etc.
All right, guys. Jeff, who's your favorite Goonie? Mouth, Mikey, Chunk, Annie, Data. What's Josh Brolin's character? It's like Price or
I don't know.
It's like Brand or something. Brand.
It was Brand.
Yeah.
Probably Sean Astin.
Mikey. Okay.
Mikey.
If you asked me when I was little, it was the second one hanging there.
Oh my God. Shut up, Jeff.
Chunk.
Truffle shuffle, Jeff. Truffle shuffle.
Do it.
From the other end.
Do it.
Stu, who's your favorite Goonie?
Probably Data. I think I'm torn between Data and Mouth. So, and in the sense, I think there's a part of both of those in me. I do like Mikey very much, but I see myself much more in this sort of in a kind of wacky, but also slightly mouthy type of way.
Yeah, I think I would go towards the Mikey character as my favorite back then too, just because like he just wanted to save the Goondocks, guys.
I know.
It was all about saving his friends and saving his family from this, horrible fate of having to move
He was the
to
primary hero. He was the primary hero.
Yeah, he's definitely the one that's first thing. I do love Mike. Mouth, of course. Like,
oh yeah,
he pretty much him and Data both provide the laughs and, of course, Sloth to some extent too, because he's a Goonie by the time we get to the end.
He is.
Yes.
He is.
Yes.
Well, some would say he was always a Goonie. So because of the way he was treated. by his family.
You know, that's a good point. That's a good point. Any other, as far as long-term impact, Stu?
How much did you hate Sloth's mother?
Sorry.
How do you not love the Fratellis in a weird, twisted kind of way?
Well, the brothers were funny, but the mother was just like the way she
Pepperoni?
was to Sloth was very cruel.
You ate my pepperoni?
Well, apparently she dropped him on his head a few too many times as a baby. Yeah.
It's like about 100.
Stu, when you do your your reenactment thing, you need to do a sloth scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Da-da-da-da!
There we go.
Sloth.
Of course, the film was directed by Richard Donner, who also directed the first Superman Christopher Reeve film. I think he directed the second one too, didn't he?
Oh, so that's
actually, I don't think he did. Come to think of it, I think someone else took over. But yeah, Richard Donner directed the first Superman movie. It took forever
to get Goonies on DVD in this country.
Really?
It took years, and I was constantly going to the stores going, "Can I get it?" And nope, you can only get it on VHS for such a long time.
Did you have the VHS at least?
Yes. Oh, did it? Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know where I recorded it from, but this is why the Goonies for me is probably is different for most people, because I had it on VHS, and this is very much of what might have happened in the time, because I had 2 films on this VHS. I can't remember it was on the start, but Goonies was on the second half of the VHS, so it got to about 3/4 of the way in, just where Mikey puts his head up in the ship and starts looking through, and then the VHS goes finished.
No!
I always missed the end of the film.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I knew what happened because I'd seen it before, but I remember I loved it so much that I knew I would not get to the end, but that would be my end.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So every time I watch it now, the last bit of the movie is a bit of a treat.
It's all new again. Oh my god! Nice.
So is it like the thing here where we're usually like a year behind on Doctor Who? At least that's the way it used to be, anyways.
I don't know. I remember the Goonies came out in DVD pretty much as soon as the format.
No, but in England,
here.
and in England,
yeah.
I think there wasn't the want for it as much over here.
Oh shit! Really?
How dare you guys?
It wasn't popular, but don't blame me. It's my number one.
I said you guys.
Hey, you guys. How many more times can we work that in here? Well, as far as long-term cultural impact, I would say, yeah, it's one of those movies that like people still love. I remember having this. I don't know if he'll ever watch this. He might, but he's a former student of mine from Hungary, and he was moving back to Budapest and going to, starting vet school there. And I'm like, do you have an American DVD player? Or like you can play it on your laptop. So I actually gave him a copy of The Goonies. Number one, because he had never seen it, but like he was a good guy. I wanted wanted to have something to remember me by. So like that was like the one thing I chose to give him when he left was a copy of The Goonies.
Cool. And speaking of the cultural importance and influence, if it wasn't for The Goonies, we probably wouldn't have Stranger Things.
I agree. There's some Stephen King throwback there, but I think you're right. The Goonies is the roadmap for Stranger Things. Good call.
It's almost like they combined Monster Squad with Goonies.
Yeah, Monster Squad was fun.
I thought about putting Monster Squad on my honorable mentions, but I just don't think it has much staying power. Is it?
No, it was fun, but yeah.
All right, Jeff, we're back to year number 2. War Games,
which isn't actually one of my go-to movies from the 80s, but it did seem to be very culturally significant because the whole nuclear war thing was very iffy back then. 1983 was called some
understatement of the century.
1983 was called like the Year of Peril or something like that. If you look it up, because there were several like scares and close calls.
Really? I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and also it was probably one of the first times, you hear, except for Hal, you hear about artificial intelligence. It's probably a lot of people's first time hearing about artificial intelligence.
Well, Whopper.
Also, the danger of automating nuclear strikes.
True.
So hopefully we haven't done that.
And the internet.
That's true.
That was the very next thing. The internet, hacking, and internet security. It's funny. I was like, I figured maybe this had an impact on disarmament with Reagan, but no, it didn't. What it had an impact on Reagan is right after that they instituted like some of the first internet security stuff on their government sites and stuff.
Oh, so they couldn't download porn?
Something like that.
Okay.
No rockets blasting off. No rockets blasting off.
Okay. Well, I was actually fairly surprised. Like, I do think it's important, but I don't encounter as many people who've actually seen this. And it was on Netflix for a while. I don't think it is anymore.
I really enjoyed War Games.
Oh no, it's a
good movie.
I love that.
It's not one of my go-tos for that time, but I did think
a certain time it would have been for me.
I think it did have a impact on during that time period. So
yeah, I can see that.
There's a great episode of the Goldbergs where he wants the internet because he's seen War Games.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Do you know the Goldbergs?
I've watched a few of the episodes. I keep meaning to go back to it. I just never have.
It's very 80s.
But you're mentioning Goldbergs makes me want to push Community on you that much more.
Yeah, cool. I shall see
if you've heard of and watched the Goldbergs, and you have to have heard of and watched Community, but apparently not.
No.
Oh, that makes me sad. That's a phenomenal show. Anyway.
I'll have to invest in the VPL.
VPN.
Did you check Netflix to see if it was on?
No. I was still.
I know you're going with the joke. Visible painting line, Jeff. VPL.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, I'm trying to inflect some of our culture onto yours.
Is that really what you call it? VPL?
Yeah, people have called VPL. It's a well, it was a thing. I don't know if it still is a thing, but it was known as a VPL for quite some time.
I've heard of it, probably from coupling or something.
Oh,
coupling's good.
True. Yes, Jeff loves that show. I like it. It's good.
But yeah, I just think it was a lot of our people our age's first real look at what could happen with nuclear war, and the only way to win is not to play.
Yeah,
to baby. That's the movie that taught me.
How the gun down.
How disconcerting was it to watch the screen just blow up every time?
Blue,
the entire world just gone.
Mm.
I remember, especially growing up in that age too. I don't know if you ever heard these kind of statistics, but I remember getting onto the bus when we were third, fourth grade. And talking to somebody, I don't know who it was, but saying oh yeah, did you know that the Soviet Union can destroy the planet 26 times over in the United States? Over. Yeah, it was some ridiculous thing, straight from War Games, and
the United States was 16 times over.
Yeah. So speaking of existential reckonings, I think this generation is going to be, because we the ones who are kids now, that we're beyond Generation Z, and we don't know what to call this new generation because it takes time to give it a name. But it might be the pandemic, the pandemic generation or something like that.
Generation, huh?
Yeah, generation virus or something. Yeah, right. And
the COVID generation.
Us growing up in I guess it's sort of the pinnacle of the Cold War when this movie came out. Like you said,
I kind of like Generation 19.
Say what?
I kind of like Generation 19. It's got a ring to it.
I kind of like
2019, yeah, COVID-19.
Like the COVID Generation 19.
What part?
Yeah. Anyway, carry on.
I think we just named it. I think we just named it, guys.
It's gonna take. We're trademarking. We'll make T-shirts. Okay. So War Games, I think we as children, the three of us, sort of had to deal with this, looming existential threat, duck and cover during a nuclear war. And now it's
your desk will save you from a nuclear blast.
Right. Desk and praying to Jesus. And then, of course, you have this whole pandemic thing as the existential threat now. So
we didn't have that threat. Our threat was AIDS.
Oh,
back in
Yeah.
back in the 80s. Yeah.
that's true.
And they have both COVID and global warming.
Oof.
Haven't we been nice? Haven't we been
Man,
nice to the children?
We have
Poor
it.
Generation 19.
I actually wouldn't blame our generation for that.
No, not really, but I don't think we're helping either. All right, Jeffrey. Did you like that?
No, that was lovely.
Thank you. Jeffrey's number one, and I'm glad you picked it. This is another one that probably would have made my list if you had not picked it.
Well, it's the same thing. Like it showed you the aftermath of a nuclear war, and it's like, well,
True.
we don't want that. Even without the machines, that looks like terrible. Artificial intelligence, again. The danger of automating nuclear strikes, again. This like just pushed it further and pushed it home even further. The autonomous drones.
Oh, true.
The singularity.
Nice.
Cyborgs, time travel, and
It's kind of got it all, doesn't it?
And I think it really was the takeoff of the bodybuilding industry, because I would say Conan, but not quite yet. I think it was more seeing him in Terminator that people were like, "Damn, I want to look like that." We're gonna work out and take Mexican supplements.
Well,
Do you know he's a vegan now?
Is he?
Is that why he's getting so small?
That's probably
Yeah, but he's still muscly, but yeah.
interesting. A lot of soy and peanut butter, maybe.
But I love
What?
I love in the poster the fact that you can tell there's a cultural difference between then and now. The fact that there's actually some text on there that you've got to spend some time reading,
Yes.
rather than just a catchline. That's in the year of darkness, 2029, the rulers of this planet devised the ultimate plan. They would reshape the future by changing the past. The plan required something that felt no pity, no pain, no fear. Something unstoppable. They created the Terminator.
Dude, that's the first time I've heard you do a sustained American accent.
Oh, thank you.
In a world.
Thank you very much.
You forgot to say in a world, though.
In a world ruled by darkness. Yeah.
It doesn't say that.
But he always did.
Yeah. Okay, well, Jeffrey, I'm gonna add in then because
it was the start. It was really, like I said, there was Conan, but really his career took off.
Oh yeah,
after
definitely.
Terminator, and he
James
defined James Cameron, two people that would define action for the next decade or two.
Absolutely, I agree, and get him elected to governor of California too, right?
He definitely referenced.
See what, Stu?
Is he up for that?
He has been.
He was the governor of California, I believe. He started to be governor in like 2004.
He was the governor.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I think he served until like 2012 or something like that.
And believe me, he used a lot of lines from his movies.
I'll be back. All that. It's not a tumor. Anyway, so
boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
I don't think he ever used that one, Jeff. That's not even his line.
What's that one from?
Thanks.
Kindergarten Cop.
And then
nice. Yes, actually, I do like that.
Wait. Speaking of Kindergarten Cop, Stu, that's my my other only person I know that has been an extra in films. A friend of mine who grew up in Astoria, Oregon, where Goonies was filmed, by the way. They also filmed Kindergarten Cop there. And he went to that elementary school, and like all these kids in that school got to be in the movie. So
it's a pretty town.
Him in the background.
Excellent.
As a kid, I think it's only during the fire drill scene now. Yeah.
But after he gets told about the genitalia by that little kid, he goes, "Thanks for the tip."
Oh, that's right. Thanks for the tip. Yeah.
Thanks for the tip.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
wonderful.
Good. Okay, so James Cameron. Foundational for his career. He goes on, and of course, this sparks an entire franchise of films. And Terminator 2 may have been, well, not counting like Star Wars trilogy, Empire Strikes Back, which I didn't even consider that for this argument because obviously those are iconic.
I almost did Empire.
I would have vetoed it because I think we need to talk about other things. Because Star Wars
is a thing unto itself.
Yes, Star Wars is like the Force. It like binds us together, and it's in all aspects of popular culture now. It's inescapable. But the Terminator,
yes.
T2 Judgment Day, which may have been the first real sequel to better the original. I know a lot of people love the original.
Absolutely.
It's awfully close. It's awfully close. I
I
love
prefer T2.
Yeah, I prefer T2 as well.
I like T2
it's
so
a perfect
much.
action movie.
Yeah, it influenced me so much. I had Eddie Furlong hair.
That's dedication.
Yeah, the whole.
I guess I kind of do now.
I love the. That's close. It's close. I just love the swipe. And the scene in the corridor when he comes in, he just turns around the head, and then all in your head you can hear Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Anyway,
dance moves. Okay, well, so the Terminator franchise, how many are there? Like 8?
Too
6,
many.
7?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's 6, a TV series as well, wasn't
it? That's right.
7.
Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I actually liked that. I thought that was really good.
I almost want to say it's my favorite incarnation.
And
T2.
it wasn't just for Summer Glau.
And I love Lena Headey as well.
Oh yeah,
she's a fantastic actress.
Before she played,
I've never seen it. I don't know.
Oh, Sarah Connor Chronicles? It's pretty good. Yeah, Lena Headey
What's the Sarah Chronicles of Narnia?
See what?
The Sarah
Chronicles of Narnia.
Mr.
That would be
Tumnus.
an interesting mishmash. That would make Narnia perhaps a little more interesting to me. That point. Those two. I know you love Narnia. I told you.
Did you want to be Mr. Tumnus?
I'm a Tolkien loyalist.
Did you want to be Mr. Tumnus?
What do you mean wannabe? I am Mr. Tumnus.
Oh, damn. Nice.
Got some hairy legs. Got some
also,
hairy
guys,
legs.
did you notice a young Bill Paxton here?
Yes.
It's one of the movies that got him started. He's in Weird Science, another John Hughes movie.
Yeah,
Chet
that nearly made the top 3, but it didn't.
It's a damn good one too. But
we named our dog. We named our bull mastiff Chet after his character.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know Chet was named after that character.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. Chet was perhaps the greatest dog who's ever lived. Still,
yes,
his dog was goddamn. That was a great dog. I loved that dog.
What sort of dog was it?
Bull mastiff.
Nice.
He
was
dog.
So loving, so smart.
I mean, I had a great dog when I was a kid too, but unfortunately, when my parents got divorced, we had to give her up. So, my memories of that are sour. But Jeff's dog, I fucking loved that dog.
He sat on Steve's face and farted.
As he should have.
Do you remember?
Something Chet would do.
I don't remember that, but I'm so glad he did.
It was my birthday. We were in my room and had the futongs out, and everyone was just laying on the floor and on the bed, and Chet really wanted to be with us, but it was like packed, and so he's coming in the dark trying to find a place to sit or lay down to be with us, and he accidentally sits on Steve's face, and Steve went ah, and it startled Chet so much that.
Man,
it was our good dog.
Good dog.
Sorry, Steve.
No, not sorry, Steve. He's not a human being I care for anymore. Thank you. He grew up to be incredibly homophobic, so I don't
like Steve either. Then.
Yeah, right.
Just on principle.
So I ain't got time for that.
It's unfortunate.
Does, man. Say what?
One doth protest too much.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
I often find the way that with most men who are homophobic, it's because they actually want to do a cock.
Well, he's the same one that used to come up while in the locker room. I'd be tying my shoes, and he'd put his leg on the bench next to me, like a Captain Morgan type pose, and he'd go, "Hey Jeff," I'd look up
in the face,
right in the face.
Okay.
Bravo, sir! Bravo! You're probably right. What if the first time we hear from him in years is in response to this podcast? That'd be great.
What's that? It's Steve.
How dare you?
Come out the closet, Steve. It's fine.
Yes, come out. Come out. You love the penis.
He does have a wife and a couple of kids now, though.
Well,
What?
I mean, that's not stop several people.
Well, I know, but
Anyway, I mean, we just want you to be happy, man. We just want you to be happy. Okay, guys, my number one is Indiana Jones.
sweet.
Yes. Very good.
Cultural impact, of course. This is a George Lucas, Steven Spielberg joint venture. The idea, storyline of Indiana Jones was from George Lucas. Steven Spielberg, of course, is the one.
Actually, back then it was probably a cocaine venture, not a joint venture.
Very good.
Thank you.
It was the 80s. Actually, it was 19. The first one came out in 1980. So, I mean, you talk about like people say that Back to the Future is like the most perfect movie ever made. Okay,
Raiders.
maybe, but
Raiders
like Raiders
awesome.
of the Lost Ark is the most perfect action film ever made. Like top to bottom, adventure, intelligence, love. Great effects of just everything about it screams awesome.
And Last Crusade is on par too.
I do like Last Crusade almost as much, but not
Almost.
Temple of Doom. I like it a lot.
I like it, but it's
just not as good as the other two.
Yeah, it's very Fate imitation, it seems, of.
And it, I don't know if you guys realize this, but did you know that Temple of Doom is actually a prequel?
What?
I've heard that, yes.
Temple of Doom is chronologically takes place before Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh.
So there you have it. No, I
guess he
love
dumps
Temple
the
of
blonde.
And this is but Lost Ark's with Sean Connery, isn't it?
No, Last Crusade is with Sean Connery. They're in the background over here.
Yes.
And you have to return it.
And there's me apparently.
Yes, Jeffrey.
Salah.
We'll put some Big Lebowski, John Goodman
Put some
glasses
glasses
on him.
on
And call
He's
him.
got-
Egyptian
got a nice
nice
fez
very
going on.
dangerous. You go first.
Yes, it's such a good movie. It's highly quotable. And how many times have you seen that boulder scene reenacted in some shape or form in a show or
UHF.
another movie?
UHF.
Miley Cyrus.
Breaking Ball.
Yeah. Maybe Stu? Not so sure.
I'm just stretching the point.
No. Yeah.
So is she. I
Yeah.
think.
Say what?
So is she.
Oh, no. Well, Indiana Jones, culturally significant. You could still go to I've actually, despite the fact that we live in Florida, close to Disney, I've actually never been to Disney or Universal or whatever, where apparently you can go and see some Indiana Jones ride or whatever. You can buy like little Indiana Jones souvenirs, and
Cool.
they used to have more apparently before they started making room for more newer movies. But
Before Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
yeah, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is hot garbage. It's right along like Lost Boys 2 in that regard. It's not like horrible, but man,
So it's everything that Shia LaBeouf touches just turns to
I was
shit.
going to say,
you
it's
can't
the scenes
even
with Shia
blame him on
LaBeouf.
that.
A lot of the scenes with Shia LaBeouf that are ridiculous, like him with the monkeys. It's like, I'm sorry, wild monkeys will attack you.
Well, that's not his fault.
And the ants were kind of
The ants was terrible.
ridiculous.
Oh my god, ridiculous! Yeah.
What was the TV show he was in when he was little?
Even Stevens.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed that. That was all right.
It was all right. And then Holes. Everybody loves Holes.
Hole, yeah. Everybody loves holes.
agreed, sir.
That's the quote of this podcast.
Where man, we're totally doing this guy.
He didn't mean it. Honest.
I would. Okay, you said that Indiana Jones inspired many wannabes at that time period. You're right. I
Ill reflections.
I just watched Chuck Norris and Lou Gossett Jr. in Firewalker, which was an obvious rip-off of
That was
one.
bad. That was
Clive Cuss. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I used to like Chuck Norris movies a lot. Unfortunately, he became what he became. But
I
yeah,
really liked it.
even I didn't really like Firewalkers.
Firewalker.
Firewalker.
But it's hot garbage, and
Yeah.
it's still trying to be the Indiana Jones kind of thing.
What's it, Alan Quartermain?
See what?
The Alan Quartermain stuff,
Alan Quartermain, the Lost Cities of Gold, I think it was.
which may have been written actually first, but
right. Alan Quartermain, historically speaking, predates the character by several decades. And George Lucas was trying to make an homage to those kind of characters. So yeah, it definitely inspired. But
then when they tried to do an actual Alan Quartermain, they just made it terrible. They didn't try.
Well, it wasn't that Richard Chamberlain?
I think so.
Yeah, I never really thought he was great leading man material anyway. Let's see here.
What I do like with a lot of these films we've picked, there's a few actors and characters which sort of run through. There's like a theme, because you've got Data coming from Indiana Jones back in the Goonies. And in Bill and Ted there was Alex Winter as well as Lost Boys.
Oh yeah, there's some overlap.
There's quite a few of them that and I think
Sala
that
and Lord of the Rings.
Did they still do that?
I think to an extent, yeah. I guess it just depends on what we're talking, like what age we're talking about or whatever. Yeah. But yeah, Indiana Jones, man. I think it's defined that action adventure genre for the time that has come since. So bringing us around, honorable mentions.
Bringing us a little closer.
You mentioned Ferris Bueller. We won't talk too much more about it. We know that it's iconic and one of John Hughes' best, although according to Stu, not as good as Home Alone. Actually, I probably agree with you. I probably like Home Alone a little more, but man, it's close. It's close.
Yeah. But for me, I didn't see Ferris Bueller until to be fair, it was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, so it missed. It missed that time.
It wasn't a part of my childhood. For some reason, it wasn't big here.
That's unbelievable, Stu. Yeah. Oh my god!
But I watched it when I did watch it a few years. I was like, "This is really good."
It is. It's so damn good.
Yeah.
I considered. Oh, sorry.
No, sorry.
Wow. No. I'm flabbergasted.
Finish your thought.
Who, me?
Him. Stu.
Oh. I'm just saying I'm flabbergasted.
It was cool. I watched it a couple 2 or 3 years ago, and I thought, I understand why this is so popular.
I was just gonna say, I thought of Ghostbusters.
God damn it, Jeff. God damn it, Stu. How about that?
I thought of Ghostbusters. I thought of Bill and Ted. I even thought of Neverending Story, Die Hard, and almost all of these, including the ones I thought.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think with this slide, because I make lists, right? So I have my favorite 80s movies. There's like 100 movies on the list, and I was scrolling through
from IMDb.
Say what?
Have they removed all the list stuff from IMDb?
No, mine's still there. I looked at it to make all this stuff, but I think this, you talk about like purely iconic films, and I did throw in Empire in there just for this representational purposes, but the rest of these, I think, really do wrap it up. I think this is everything. Anything that's had cultural, lasting, enduring significance is here.
Mm. And I didn't see Amadeus until 2 weeks ago.
You put the soundtrack on your list.
It was like the day after you watched it.
It was the day before the thing.
That was more than 3 weeks ago, Stu.
Was it? Was it really?
Yeah.
When was that? I was still drinking, so yeah. It was probably more than because I've not had a drink for.
You haven't been drinking.
No,
today's Friday. Are you not drinking?
I'm not drinking.
Wow.
At all?
Just not at all. I've not had a drink for nearly a month now.
I did sublingual CBD.
Man, it has been a while since we've recorded.
Yeah, I've something because I'm doing this. I'm doing a keto diet at the moment.
Okay.
So yeah, I could have alcohol, but in the way of gin and soda.
I was like, could you drink Everclear? It's almost all alcohol. It's almost all alcohol.
Pure grade alcohol.
Yeah. I probably could, but to be fair, I'm not there. I'm just no longer in that sort of I need to get wasted.
Oh, well, I mean, that comes with getting older, doesn't it?
So mine up there are Karate Kid, which
I would have considered it. So like, I'm glad you said it.
well, it was important to me, not for getting into martial arts, but for basically having other people for me to train with get into martial arts. 'Cause I actually started martial arts about a year before this. Like I said,
That's not iconic. It's about it's about society.
Well, it was important to me. That's why I didn't include it in the top 3.
Okay,
But
I mean, no, I think it is culturally significant.
Well, let me
You
explain.
can make the argument, Jeff.
I will make the argument. Kept martial arts schools running after Enter the Dragon's influence started to wane.
Yeah.
Changed the perspective of martial arts from creating dangerous fighting Ubermensch to a character building endeavor, confidence, discipline, honor, exercise, fair play, sport.
Okay. Well, I mentioned Karate Kid Part 2, the second slide with Peter Cetera there. We have Karate Kid Part 3, which is absolutely, speaking of trash sequels, oh my God, that one. I wish that one doesn't exist too.
Let's
But
not talk about
the real sequel is the Cobra Kai television.
I still haven't watched that. I need to watch that.
It's on Netflix as of today. You can watch the first 2 seasons, and Netflix is like, they bought the rights. They put the first 2 seasons on Netflix, and they're filming or finishing season 3. I've only seen the first season, so I intend to watch season 2 very shortly. It's a good show. It really does live up to the original. Apparently, was made lovingly by some original fanboys, and
Good.
I mean, it's Mr. Miyagi, and there's all sorts of like, pop culture references around. I mean, the same as could be said about Ghostbusters, right? I mean, like he slimed me. That was all very culturally relevant.
But as far as martial arts goes, I will say, like I said, it didn't influence me to start martial arts. What influenced me more was like Chuck Norris, but especially my parents, because both my mom and my dad took Tang Soo before I was born. So I started learning, Tang Soo and boxing about the same time I started walking.
In utero?
So, almost.
Okay.
Let me out.
Yeah, that's where I was going. Princess Bride, of course, it's been further immortalized.
That was on my list.
Yeah. Deadpool, right? Once Upon a Deadpool.
Oh.
The relaunch of Deadpool 2 and as a PG-13 film featuring a tied-up adult-sized Fred Savage doing the part as Deadpool tells him the story of Deadpool 2. That's
amazing. I've not seen Deadpool 2 yet.
I've only seen clips
I've seen a little bit of it, yeah.
I've seen the original Deadpool 2, but not the Once Upon a Deadpool version of it. Bill and Ted, Stu and I talked about throwing that one in there, and of course that one.
Well, which ones today. Which 4 and 5 are yours, James?
Well, just because I wanted to fill out, because I felt if I were to add a couple more, we would have the complete list.
I actually thought about you with Dead Poet Society.
Well, that's actually Stu's. Blade Runner was my number 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has more cultural influence than people give it credit for. In fact, that might be something I write about soon. Is its cultural references and how it's built the genre and cyberpunk and things like that.
And what was your number 4, Stu?
Bill and Ted.
Okay.
It was Bill and Ted's excellent. So it was between that and Lost Boys.
That ushered in the 90s.
Yeah,
it really did.
I mean, that was 88. I mean, it was released in 88, but you're right. It's that stepping stone because like you have the sequel that came out like 91.
Because those colors, the bright oranges and all that stuff, and the way they were dressing,
fluorescence.
Yeah, it became really popular in the early 90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
Totally. And
before grunge.
We wouldn't. I'm not sure if we would have had water parks if it wasn't for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
You didn't have water parks?
No,
what?
It's a long time to get water parks.
It is Britain, I suppose. That makes sense. But global warming, you might get more.
Yay! I live in Cumbria. I've had enough water.
Well, at least put it to good use, man.
And what was your number 5, James?
My number 5, my number 5 would probably have been Princess Bride, just in terms of cultural icon status.
Is it Diego Montoya?
It's not my favorite one on this slide, but God, like it's one of the most quotable movies ever fucking made.
Inconceivable.
Top 3.
No, inconceivable.
Inconceivable. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
For his birthday, I brought my brother a cup that says, "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You drink my coffee. Prepare to die."
Yep,
on his mug.
Wait, we have the marriage. Like I hear that one a lot.
Marriage.
Yeah. As you wish. I hear that one quite a bit. So like it's one of the most, like, still to this day, most quoted films that has ever been made.
And it was prophetic.
When this, sorry,
it was prophetic because he did said the mask is terribly comfortable. I think everyone will be wearing them in the future.
Oh my God! What's his name? William Goldblatt is I think the one that wrote the novel. Does that mean he's a seer?
I guess so.
Could be. Yes. I really like it when there's certain phrases which happen in films, and then the film almost gets forgotten, and then the phrase itself is entered into society, and people go, "Where's that from again?"
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. So there's quite a lot in the 80s. So.
Yeah, there really is.
Captain,
really
my
is.
captain.
Captain, my
Captain,
captain.
my captain.
Carpe,
But I find it very difficult to talk about Robin Williams.
Yeah.
That was sad.
Yeah.
That was really sad.
Honestly, I've never cried so much for somebody I didn't know. It was really weird when he died. It was just
That was me. That was this for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Robin Williams was definitely like that was a tough pill to swallow, especially how he went. It was just.
Well, there's a documentary coming out on the 1st of September.
I remember you talking about that. Yeah. Anyway, Die Hard. Like speaking of like perfect action movies, like that's also
yes.
Like that's definitely a blueprint on how to make a really fucking awesome action movie. I think that's all.
Is it the only good Christmas action movie?
Lethal Weapon.
Is that Christmas?
Yeah.
Is it?
Okay. I
do you
don't
remember
enjoy it as much.
Do you remember the scene where he busts those drug dealers?
Yeah.
Among the Christmas trees.
That's right. That's right.
And when he's about ready to, he's really considering committing suicide. There, he's watching the Bugs Bunny Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do remember some of that.
And when what the hell's his name? Blonde guy who's kind of crazy with big teeth.
Gary Busey. when he breaks into the house, he shoots the TVs. It's Merry fucking Christmas, or something like that. It's fucking Christmas. Oh man, I do remember. I forgot that he was in that one. Ooh. Anyway,
that was the first time most people saw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Because the Gracie brothers did the fight coordinating for that movie. That's why he finishes that guy with a triangle choke.
Oh, well, there you go.
I've learned something today.
Absolutely.
I am a martial arts nerd.
E.T.
Absolutely.
Does it get you right in the feels?
It's okay.
I'm pedaling, by the way. You can't see me,
a special memory. There is a special memory for AT. We were at the Riviera, watching it with, which is in Three Rivers. It's a movie theater in Three Rivers, the old movie theater. And I was with my cousin Jennifer. It was Jennifer. And when Drew Barrymore kissed E.T. really loud, she went, "Ew, gross!" And everybody busted out laughing in the whole theater.
That's funny. No, I mean it's an iconic movie. It doesn't get as mentioned as often these days, but you talk about Spielberg, because Spielberg, man, that dude fucking owned the 80s. Like, like production-wise, director-wise, and what Amblin Entertainment, his production company, did during the 80s is just incredible. But like, you had Jaws, that you had the first real
summer blockbuster film. But E.T. was for a long time the highest grossing film of all time because this is before the days when we had VCRs in homes, and the movie was released in 82. So they kept re-releasing the film like Star Wars. They kept re-releasing these films, and E.T. was just like people ate that shit up. And I enjoy watching it.
Ate it up
It
like
does
some
make me
Reese's
sad.
Pieces.
Yeah. It makes you cry every time.
It does.
Oh yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
God damn it, E.T.
Make you feel things in your filmmaker.
In my
Like you
field.
say.
Thank you, Stu.
People
That's my feelings maker.
people of the green world or something like that.
Oh yeah, they do get the cameo in Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, George Lucas. Whatever.
And they removed the shotguns and replaced them.
He put them back. He
did?
back.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, because for a while there,
he saw the error of his ways. And I think he's seen the error of his ways with King of the Crystal Skull as well. Like I think he acknowledges it as a festering turd. And I think that's one of the reasons why he and Harrison Ford want to make this fifth one so badly, even though he's so goddamn old now. I mean, like I think we mentioned in one of the other podcasts, he's going to be 80 by the time that movie comes out.
Wow.
Like, literally, he will be 80 by the time the movie is released, especially with coronavirus.
instead of sneaking out the window of his office at the university, he'll be sneaking out of his room at the retirement home.
That very well might be what it is. So I think Spielberg and Harrison Ford want to make this fifth indie movie just to sort of salvage the legacy. I mean, I don't think
he better
really
keep his ass out of airplanes and stuff.
Well, there is that. Never Ending Story.
Never
Ending
Story.
Oh, that was precious, guys. Of course, on the back of my computer, I used to have this giant, like I call it laptop skin. It's a big sticker, basically. And it had Falkor being ridden by the dude from Big Lebowski with this white Russian.
Oh, sweet.
Artreyu.
So cool.
I had to replace my computer, so now it's Soundwave from the original Transformers.
Artreyu, right?
Atreyu is the I guess it's the Native American kid. I think that's what he was supposed to be, but obviously not Native American because he's from
in the other world.
It's probably Italian, like the Crying Indian.
Oh, I think the actor actually was. I forget his name. I remember looking it up at some point.
But as far as Falco goes, I was always like, that's not a dragon. That's a dog.
He's a luck dragon. It's like Jeffrey.
It's like a white dachshund.
And he looks more like the Asian Oriental
I know
style
that now. I know that now.
Oh, hey, I was willing to roll with it, man, because that was a great movie. Although it did make me sad because everybody shit on Bastion, and that's not cool.
Why?
No, I'm saying the kid in the movie, like those kids were bullying him.
Yeah,
they shit all over that kid, man.
He needed me around.
I empathized, so I was just going
to me too. And that's one of the reasons why I think back then it was sort of difficult to watch because it's like, man, those kids need to be. Somebody needs to kick the shit out of those kids. Yeah. Which you have like Falcor, but make them go in the
That's what I used to do. Remember, I used to I used to get in the way of bullies when they were picking on people.
Oh, I used to be Bastion.
To an extent, me too.
I'm running home to read my books. Fuck you.
Yep. Last one. Oh, Conan the Barbarian, Jeffrey. It's the last one we have to mention here.
I have notes.
Cool, because I've only got like 15 minutes left on my battery.
Oh, hey, perfect timing.
It was the first successful sword and sorcery movie, grossing between 68.9 million and 79.1 million on a budget of 20.
Well, okay, so definitely made some money.
So it made all the rest like possible.
Yeah, and also James Earl Jones is the villain. Should mention that one. Love that part.
It was the first real start of Schwarzenegger's epic takeover of the action movie genre.
Was that movie came out in 84 as well? Because Terminator was 84.
No, 82.
Oh, Conan came out in 82?
Yeah.
Wow.
If I remember
man.
Technically,
it's one of the first. Oh, battery's running low. Sorry, it's one of the first.
We're hurrying.
Technically, the first successful movie with a Marvel character.
Oh, there you go.
Because Conan was part of Marvel.
At that point, they just owned the rights, though. It was created by another guy.
I know, but I just,
Okay then. Okay, yeah. Conan the Barbarian. Obviously, it's iconic in the fact that it sort of inspires the genre, and that's when
It's
you
one of
really
my
had.
favorites of all time.
I mean, that's when Dungeons and Dragons was really taking off too. So it sort of fed that culture. And of course, Dungeons and Dragons now has really blown up to be something. It kind of faded away for a while, especially like in the '90s. But man, it's back with a vengeance. Like you have
I
Magic
loved
the
the
Gathering,
cartoon
all this-
back in the 80s. The Dungeons and Dragons
Oh, yeah,
cartoon.
yeah. He has
so
them.
good.
He has
I
them
own that
on
shit.
DVD. And
Yeah,
I used to watch them
excellent.
when I was watching the girls.
Hell
But,
Dungeons
yeah.
and Dragons ride.
Yes, that's a great show. Like it
That really
holds
is.
up so damn well. Anyway, we should do a cartoons episode. That's what
Yes,
we should do. And
absolutely.
not limited
We
to
should.
decades, but do like straight up greatest cartoons.
But yeah, I was right. It was inspired by samurai films.
Okay, that makes
Conan.
sense.
Yeah.
The very stoic nature and not talking that much and introspective.
Which would have been perfect for his language skills at that point of his life, probably.
True. Exactly.
So, but his German will be a lot better than mine is.
Oh,
But
that's
Austrian.
If you watch it, it's one of the only movies where the main character, you just see him sit and think quite often in the film. Just sit there and think
Seven
about his
Samurais.
problems.
Who's that by again?
Guys, I think that's it. Do we have any parting words?
Party on, dudes!
Be excellent to each other.
To each other. Party on, dudes.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of their women.
And you know what? I'll be back.
I'll be back.
And you could be Mozart.
That's not fair.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Good one. All right. Adios, guys.
Bye. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye.
Wake up. Time to die.
All right. I will check with you guys later. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.